What is up, Dolphins Nation? I'm Dustin Davis, and you're locked into the Dolphins Express Report. Look, we've got to talk about what's happening in Miami right now because things are starting off way too quiet for my liking. The front office is moving like they're walking on eggshells, trying to make these moves while they're stuck in absolute cap hell. The way they handle these next few months is going to tell us everything. Are we actually building something that lasts, or are we just spinning our wheels and setting ourselves up for another year of what if? I'm telling you, it's wild to see us being this calculated when the rest of the division is loading up. It feels like we're playing chess while everyone else is playing football. If we don't get aggressive soon, we're going to be left in the dust before the preseason even starts. Trust me on this one, the road ahead is a total mess. We're looking at nearly 30 players hitting free agency, and you know how it goes. Veterans want the kind of huge paydays they think they've earned, but the bank is empty. Plus, our secondary is looking like a sieve right now. We're going to dive into the decisions and moves that could totally flip the script on the 2026 season. First of all, let me take a second to ask for your help. If you're feeling the vibe of these videos, give us a like. It's the best way to keep this channel alive and kicking. Thanks for the support. It really means a lot. Listen, I was reading this, and the first signs of how Sullivan wants to run things showed up with a cornerback signing that actually turned some heads. Since Super Bowl 60 wrapped up, the front office has been moving with a real sense of purpose, even if it's just adding depth guys. Sullivan's been very open about the fact that his job never stops. It's a 24/7, 365-day grind. And based on these early moves, he isn't just blowing smoke. So Miami went out and signed Miles Battle. This is a guy who spent time with the New England Patriots throughout 2024 and into 2025. He was bouncing between their practice squad and the active roster for a while. During that 2025 season, he actually got into 5 games. Most of that was on special teams, but he did get 29 defensive snaps in New England's Week 17 win against the Jets. Look, if you can get on the field against the Jets and not mess it up, that's something, I guess. But 29 snaps isn't exactly a huge resume. I hope he's more than just a body for the kickoff unit. The story on Battle is actually pretty interesting. He started out as a wide receiver at Ole Miss before he switched over to defensive back in 2020. The Kansas City Chiefs actually picked him up as an undrafted free agent in 2024, but he ended up moving over to the Patriots later that same year. He's a converted receiver, which means he should have some decent hands. If he can actually track the ball, maybe he can turn into a ball hawk for us. God knows we need someone back there who can actually come down with a pick. At 303 pounds, Battle is just another huge body that Miami is obsessed with lately. He's joining other giants like 6'8" Zach Kuntz and 6'2" Terrace Marshall. It's clear the Dolphins are taking big swings on guys with massive frames and developmental upside. Because he used to play offense, he's got those ball tracking skills that might actually turn into some big plays if he can actually fight his way onto the field. We're building a basketball team apparently. I get the size matters argument, but I'd rather have a 5'10" guy who can actually cover than a 6'3" guy who gets burnt every other play. Let's hope Battle's feet are as good as his height. I'll be honest, this isn't the kind of move that's going to lead the 6 o'clock news, but it makes sense. He's got the big frame, he helps on special teams, and there's some upside if things go our way. These are the kind of guys you need when the weather gets cold in December, not just when everyone is healthy in September. Does a signing like this get you hyped, or are you totally bored? Drop a comment and tell me what you think about this move. Look, here's the deal. Beyond the new faces, Miami has to make some hard calls on the guys we already know. We're staring down some massive financial headaches this offseason. We've got a ton of free agents and almost zero money to play with. The front office has to figure out which veterans are worth keeping, who deserves a raise, and where they can find some extra cash. The Tua situation is the elephant in the room. If we pay him, we're broke. If we don't, who's throwing the ball? It's a total damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. Take Rasul Douglas, for example. The guy is a Super Bowl champ, and he joined us just a week before the season started. At first, he was just supposed to be a depth guy who didn't even know the playbook. But then Storm Duck got hurt in week 1, and Douglas had to jump right in. He ended up being a rock for us, total veteran stability. Rasul was a godsend. We were in total trouble after that injury, and he stepped up like a pro. If we lose that kind of veteran leadership, our secondary is going to be a playground for every QB in the league. The fans absolutely love him, and they should. He was one of our best defenders all year. When a fan told him they wanted him back, Douglas just said, "We are all in hopes." Dante Collinelli over at Sports Illustrated says re-signing him is a no-brainer because he's a reliable vet in a room that's probably going to be full of rookies next year. In 15 games, PFF had him as a top 20 corner in the league. And get this, on his $1.5 million deal, Greg Olsen from Fox Sports called him the best defensive bargain in football. Top 20 corner for $1.5 million? You don't let that walk out the door. I don't care if he's 32, you find a way to make that work. That's a steal in any league, in any year. But here's the problem. Miami's cap hell makes it hard to chase a 32-year-old corner who might not fit the long-term plan. Collinelli thinks the team might rather spend their money on younger, cheaper options if 2026 is going to be a rebuilding year. The thinking is that youth and saving money fits the rebuild vibe better. I hate the word rebuild. It's just an excuse for losing. If Rasul wants to be here and he's playing at a top 20 level, you keep him. Don't overthink it just because he's got a few gray hairs. If Rasul really wants to stay in Miami, he might have to take a pay cut, or at least take less than what he'd get on the open market after the year he just had. The team is trying to balance having a guy who can play right now versus the potential of a young kid. What jumps out to me is the age versus the timeline. Rasul was great, no doubt, but at 32, the window is closing fast. If the front office thinks 2026 is a reset year, then maybe the younger guys do make more sense. Do you agree with that, or are we crazy to let a top corner walk? Now check this out. A new report says the Dolphins might be looking at a totally unexpected veteran fix for the QB spot. When Derek Carr suddenly retired last year, the Saints were scrambling. They tried Spencer Rattler, then Tyler Show, and Show actually turned into a playmaker by the end of the year. But now there are rumors that Carr is thinking about coming back. League sources say he'd only do it if the situation was perfect, though. Carr coming back? We've seen this movie before. A veteran QB gets bored on his couch and thinks he can still sling it. Sometimes it works, usually it doesn't. Joe Rivera over at USA Today actually named Miami as a spot where Carr could land if he unretires. Rivera wrote, "Could Derek Carr take his talents to South Beach? There's the looming question of Tua Tagovailoa, his contract, and how he'll fit in new head coach Jeff Hafley's vision for the Dolphins. Miami would have to find a way to move on from Tagovailoa, something he might welcome, or reassign his role on the team, a move that could unsettle the veteran passer." Did you catch that? Moving on from Tua might be something he welcomes. That tells you everything you need to know about the energy in that building right now. If the QB isn't happy, nobody is. Rivera went on to say that Miami has been a total roller coaster at QB, and Carr would at least give us someone who knows how to play the position at a decent level. He questioned if the situation is right, especially in a brutal AFC East with the Patriots and Bills, but he noted that Carr doesn't have a ton of other options if he's serious about a comeback. Let's be real, there aren't many perfect spots for Carr anyway, since most teams that need a QB are a total train wreck. But Miami has the market, the resources, and obviously the weather that could talk him into it. The Dolphins definitely need help at QB because Tua's up and down play has everyone's blood pressure through the roof. Bringing in Carr to replace him would probably give us some stability and make a lot of fans happy. In this division, adding Carr feels like we're just trying to be okay, not great. Like Rivera said, it's practical, but is it actually ambitious? I don't know, man. I want to win the whole thing, not just finish 9-8 and get bounced in the first round. I want to know what you think. Is Carr the answer or just a band-aid on a broken leg? Leave a comment. Before you head out, smash that like button and subscribe. Join the nation and let's make the Dolphins stronger together. Until the next one, I'm out.